Welcome to Breaking the Silence pre-premiere show, and I'm hoping you can hear me because we're at home. We're not at the film studio, and I'm using the setup at home. And can you hear me? Tommy, can you hear me? Nobody's answering me, so maybe they can't hear me. You think by now they'd be telling me they can't hear me. So, yes, Florida man says yes. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're a little quiet. Okay, let me turn up my mic volume. This is a different setup I have at home.
Where's my headset?
So
Where's my headset?
I have them on.
Oh, okay. On.
Oh, well, you can turn up your sound over there just a little bit. Anyway, we're not used to being at home. The background you're looking at is a 3D model that I built in set. I built in Unreal Engine, and most of the images, the characters you see in the background were actually built in Blender. And of course, the poster, our poster over there, I want to know. You know, it always bugged me that it said I want to believe, because there's a big difference between believing in something and knowing something. So that's why I decided to do that. And over there is the poster to thank you, Lynn. See, that's her poster. No, that is the poster to breaking the but something is there. I got to ring the bell. No one will get mad at me because I'm not talking over myself and I'm not ringing a bell over myself. I am myself, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I was actually going to talk about the warm up to Susan's show. This is really amazing. Another amazing account told by another amazing person that I have no doubt whatsoever that this actually occurred and happened to her. As you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've had people ask me before, well, people can make stuff up, and you really can't tell. I disagree. I think that many of us who have these experiences are starting to realize and understand that we do have gifts or abilities. And Mary and I have been asking a lot of you lately if you felt that those were on the rise, if they were becoming more frequent, stronger, and you just know when you look into someone's eyes and they're telling you a story, they're telling you something that happened to them. You just know in your heart, you feel it in your being that the truth is there. It's in their eyes. And as they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul. I love that line in The Outer Limits with the Bolero shield, where the creature that they brought down on the light beam, Martin Landau, says, in all the universe, there are creatures. How do they say it? In all the universe, there are creatures who have eyes, and the eyes see or know. And it certainly was true. So I also want to point this out. This is, it's actually showing in the light. This is Moonstone, and Benno sent this to me for Christmas. On the back side of it, I don't think you can see it, but our emblem, maybe you can just see it.
It's from Benno of Oz.
Benno of Oz from Down Under. And he carved Moonstone, which is really something. And it's supposed to represent the tall white being that's always there and always been with me. I just thought I'd share that with you because I didn't have a chance before. So how do you feel? That you feel that your abilities are stronger lately? Because it certainly has been that way here. You do all know about Whitley Strieber's new book, which has the Communion Lady on the cover again, and this time without the black eye covers. They are actual covers that fit over the eyes, and he has them off. And the title of the book is The Fourth Kind. And thank you, Lynn. And the fourth kind is about the very thing that we're talking about. The fact that we have abilities and how to get them back. So it's a very timely book. It's on Amazon right now. You can pre-order it. The actual hard copies and the softbacks will be available later on this month, Whitley tells me. Right now, you can get the Kindle version. And if you go, it's like $8. It really helps the algorithms recognize that Whitley is getting attention for this book, and he needs that to happen. Wes, thank you very much. But please go pre-order that book. And this is not about money. This is about showing an interest in what Whitley's doing. And that book it's gone full circle from the original communion cover all the way to what he has told me may be his last book on this subject. And so the communion lady is back on that cover. And if that book gets enough spread, enough people see it, a lot more people are going to come forward if they see that book cover. I feel a lot of younger people, because this very much is still going on. So I see some of you feel that I saw someone say that you feel that your psychic abilities are on the rise. Well, I certainly feel that. It's been happening a lot. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail, but what I did want to do is that you all seem to enjoy the intro. I know some of you have said that it's too long, but those have been new people who have come in here and don't realize that we have a warm-up period where everybody comes in, because we all know each other. We're just a big family, a big community. And so we run that, and it gives time for everybody to get in so they don't miss the beginning of the show. And we do that for all our live streams. And so some of these people don't realize that. They just think it's too long, but they still enjoy the show, so that's good. There's a new one coming up pretty soon, but it's actually a short film that I've been working on for the past several weeks, and it's a film. It's a movie. It's a story, and it's going to be dedicated to a very near and dear friend of mine who I really miss, Roger Lear. But like I said, it's a story. It's a film. It's very visual, and there's no dialogue in it, but there's sound and music and images that I know you're all going to appreciate. And that'll be our new intro once the film premieres for a while. But since you liked the intro that you saw tonight, and a lot of you have, and you seem to like that one more than the CGI one, I have to admit that the CGI one is stuff that I did back at the mid last year, and I have come miles from when I was doing that stuff back then with what I know how to do with Unreal. I've learned it very well at this point, and so stuff is really has much greater production value. So that one's going to go bye-bye and be replaced probably with another one down the road with some of the newer stuff that we've been doing for, like the show you're going to see tonight and Judy's. But the one that you liked tonight, they've changed how they do things here. I thought I'd go over some of the art and tell you what it's from and why it's there, if that's an interest. First thing I want to talk about is that. Well, that's the cover to the book, but it's also the poster image for But Something Is There, the movie, the director's cut, which is available on this channel. It's free to watch, and it's not a documentary. It is a movie. The story is introduced by Whitley Strieber at the beginning. Yvonne Smith plays herself midway through the film during the support group scene. And this is all about my experiences starting with the first one that really I remember very well when I was 6 years old in San Francisco. We recreated at our studio on the stage a set of my bedroom, the way it looked, the way I remembered it. So we built a whole set and reenacted that first encounter that I remember so well. I highly recommend, if you have not seen this film before, I'm finding all the time that many people have not, even though it's been sitting there. They just didn't know to go see it. It's but something is there, the director's cut. So now we're going to go look at some of the artwork that you see in the opening. And this one, at this point, about 1994, I was doing a lot of work with Yvonne Smith. I was involved in her support group. I was involved going on the air with her on many TV shows and talk shows. And I also was doing artwork about her cases. So she would have a case and someone would describe something in that case under hypnosis, and she'd ask me to illustrate it. And I did. But this one was something I did on my own because this was this kind of memory I had in my mind of being in my crib and having something look in at me. This is an interesting one, and I forgot about this piece of art, and it's literally not one of my best pieces, but it illustrates a scene. It's Whitley standing in the stairway, and a friend of his standing at the bottom of the stairway, and this woman, and I think this is in Breakthrough, was knocking on the door, and that's how she looked. I believe she had vegetables in that sack, and she had long hair on and stuff, but it was one of the beings. And it's a passage in his book, and I forget exactly which one. He has written many books, but I believe it's either Breakthrough or what was the other one? Transformation. I just had to look over there. This is a very youngish me, like 40 something years old. And you can see what I'm working on. You can see on the walls. This was my shop in an artist studio when I lived in Granada Hills. And you can see on the wall some of the things that are there, including a frame grab of Richard Dreyfuss. But the piece I'm working on, you can see is, I have a zoom in on that somewhere. Is this it here? Yeah, I do. Most of this artwork is all lost. I gave it away, and I don't know where it is today. I gave it to someone that I knew, and I felt that would appreciate the art. This was because my late wife asked me to get completely out of this subject matter, or she would leave me. And so on Christmas Eve, or maybe it was Christmas Day in the evening, this friend of mine named Leisha, who had been there for me a great deal, was an experiencer herself, I gave all this art to, all of it, every single last piece. And so the only record I have of it are the photographs I took back then. This was a dream. And it looks like that ethereal realm where I saw Judy, for those of you who watched that show, The Gift. Was it The Gift? I think it was The Gift, where I had a near-death experience, but I wasn't the one who was near death. I have no idea, because that's what I saw. And in fact, back in the late 80s, early 90s, you did not see them portrayed this way at all. And my artwork was used on sightings and on X-Files and all over the place, and magazines. Even High Times magazine had my stuff on the cover, and it caught on. It caught on so well that I actually had people telling me that were using the image as a logo that I was in copyright infringement. And I had to tell them that, no, you don't realize that that look came from my early artwork. I'm not going to name names, but and so after that, it spread. I mean, if you look at the piece of artwork that's out in front of the little alien, that happened almost directly after my artwork hit the airwaves, and it looks just it's the same look. This was a piece I did because I've always been I've always had this feeling that when we pass, that we continue on, we go to the other side. But not only that, there's the whole star seed thing, the thing I wrote about in Community recently, where I talked about the fact that some of us are not abductees. We're people on Earth that have the consciousness of these beings in our being without our memory of it, so that we can record, understand, and experience the human condition. This was the best way for them to fully understand us. Oh, Beno, hi, thank you. Of course it does. You made it for me. Um, and so this painting, which I did about 94, represents that. Actually, it's charcoal and pencil. Again, the theme continues on, and Whitley and many of the people I've talked to have a memory of coming to Earth and coming into our mother's wombs. That doesn't mean that you're a being from another world or another consciousness, although all consciousness really is the same when you get right down to it. It's consciousness. I did this piece because it was something that I felt very strongly about and could see, and this visitor is lowering the soul or the consciousness of a being into the womb of this child, which I know a lot of people will see as a terribly sinister and dark thing, but I never saw it that way. Never did. And I know a lot of people, a small percentage of people feel that this experience is a very negative and terrifying thing. Unfortunately, a lot of us are ruled by fear. It's not our fault. We're conditioned by our own people, our own culture, our own civilization to do this. That's how they keep us under control. And maybe some of these visitors are really bad guys. I mean, if you really look at the human race, if you watch human events and look at the news, and you're a being coming from another world and you're seeing this stuff, you're going to think a rattlesnake's a rattlesnake. You know, I mean, are we all going to be condemned because of the actions of so many getting attention by the media, the ones ruling countries, the dictators, the very wealthy people who are destroying nature so that they can gain profit? A lot of humans are really bad. So it works both ways. And I'm just fortunate that the visitors that I'm dealing with know different. That there are good beings, there are good souls, there's good consciousness here, and it needs a chance. Oh, that was my mother's secret. That's CG that I did, and that was for a thumbnail for one of the shows. If you haven't seen it, it was pretty popular. It's the one I talked about my mother for years. To make a long story short, she never talked about this stuff. My grandfather did. My father's father, he had experiences. My mom never did, and she kind of like avoided ever talking about it all her life until a couple of years before she passed, and she opened up to me. We hadn't talked for 20 years. We just didn't get along. And when we finally started talking again, she said, "I've seen you on television with that Whitley Strieber." And I thought, oh boy, here we go. And she said, no, it's not what you think. And then she told me the story of what happened to her more recently with my grandmother when they were sitting on the porch. But if you want to know the whole story, watch the episode. It's on the channel. It's a piece of art I did for it. This is from Breakthrough. There's a part in there where I don't remember if it was Whitley, but I think it was, walked in on a child, and the being was in there, and it had the wand to her spine, and the spine was lit up in blue, and you could see her skull. Again, this is very ominous. This is very dark. This is very frightening. And that's one perspective. But how do we know that this is being done to harm her, to harm us? Could have a very, very good purpose. And in fact, in most cases, the people who have these experiences live very long lives. And, other than a few body marks and stuff, very little harm is brought to us except the psychological harm. And again, so much of that comes from, in my perspective, the point of view that we are taught to be terrified of the unknown and anything that we can't relate to, that we've been taught about. So as it turned out, this was not done to harm the child. And certainly had something to do with the Kundalini, that's for sure. Okay, you're going to love this one. Some of you have seen it before. I was deep asleep. All of a sudden, I was awake. This went beyond a lucid dream. I was awake. I can breathe. I can feel. I feel the table I'm sitting on. I'm in a room that's not brightly lit. That's all metal. You know the deal. And there's this feeling that something's next to me. And I looked over very slowly, and that's what I saw. Yvonne asked me to draw it, and I did, because it was very fresh on my mind. And as I sat there, I was kind of a little nervous, as you might expect. And I thought, well, I'll just kind of slither off the table and get some distance from this creature. And it put its leg out. It wasn't wearing any clothes. It put its leg out and wrapped it around my bare leg, because I think I was just in a pair of underpants and a t-shirt in it, because that's how I slept. And it put its leg out, and I could feel, I just never forget that feeling of that skin against my leg. It was very rough, like a reptile. But I don't know for sure that this was a reptile. I really don't. I mean, it looks reptilian, and it's not anything like what you hear people describe. I've done drawings of reptilians for people, and they look like dinosaur people. But on some level, if reptiles, or dinosaurs weren't reptiles, but if dinosaur had evolved, like this, the raptors, which were very intelligent and they had hands and everything, did evolve over millions of years, they may have ended up looking like this. So that's what that one was. I've done so much art on this subject, and this is just some of it. This one, it was another dream where I was asleep, and I woke up, and I was in this metal room, and there was something crawling on the floor like a turtle, and I picked it up and flipped it over, and it was this little being inside this sort of gelatinous black turtle shell thing. And this small gray, one of the small ones, ran up, and I could hear it saying, "No, no, 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 give that to me." And I did. And, I've never forgot this. As I talk to you about it now, I can see the whole thing. Maybe I should bring it to life in CG. I don't know. But I've never heard anybody else describe something like this. That small little being. It was like a baby gray, not a hybrid, but a baby gray. How about it? Have any of you seen anything like that? This was a sculpture I was working on for what I call Hollywood gray. You can see the anatomy and the bone structure and stuff, but it still captures a lot of what I remember. I never finished it. This one here was one of the rare times when I asked about a supreme being, if there was one, and this is what they showed me. And it was moving. And if you look down below, you can see the DNA spiral going up into its tendrils of its hands and its imagery. It was amazing. This drawing does not do it justice. I could see galaxies around it. It was amazing, and the being was showing it to me. It was like a screen, or maybe it was a window. I don't know, but they pop up these screens, and these screens are floating, and the imagery comes across. This I did. I think I did this for Yvonne. This was based on someone's description of a praying mantis. Only recently, and it was in a dream, that I see one of these beings, and that's what really helped me shape what Judy saw in her bedroom. I mean, that was really based if you watch that episode, I Am Them with Judy Goldsmith, that experience I had in the dream was right before I was about to do her praying mantises. And so I drew on that to do them. So this one's pretty interesting. This was done in 1994 or 93, way before the Trade Center disaster. But you also notice there are a lot of buildings underwater. This came through, I believe, under hypnosis. It was a warning about things to come. Well, certainly the coastlines are raising, and certainly the trade centers were in trouble at that time. And I remember my late wife saying, "You take that offline. You don't show that to anybody after 9/11." So now, for those of you who have watched But Something Is There, there's a scene in it when I'm with my grandfather in Marin County when we saw this this orb was huge. It was really big. We stood underneath that telephone pole and looked up at it, and it hovered over us, and then it shot off very fast, and it had like these flames all licking. I could hear the sound of this licking sound. Of course, all the crickets and everything had stopped at that time, but I did a couple of different drawings of that. Yvonne wanted me to illustrate that. We actually went back and looked at that under hypnosis. We didn't get anything new. I mean, I remembered all of it. It's also the site where, because this was old farmland on the other side of that telephone pole, stretched on for miles, but there was an old well there and a windmill, what was left of a farm. And that's where I saw the ghost. Now, my grandfather didn't point it out to me. I saw it. It was a shimmering humanoid form by the well. And he said, "Oh, you can see that?" And I said, "Yeah, I can." Then my grandfather had experiences, and we saw that together. And it was right in the same area. This is a frame grab from one of the episodes. Well, Rachel, yeah, Mary, we have some on the site, don't we? Or
there's some in the store, but we can special order.
Yeah, we can special order. This was from the one where I was with my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side in Bernie, California, in the mountains, going through a winding road in the middle of the night, and got stopped and pulled into the woods by these people at hard hats, which looked like road workers, and they took us to all these lights in the woods, which is this big object, looked like a construction. There were bars, speed rail everywhere, and the inside of it was something that was saucer-like, and we went into it. It's a good episode. Look for it. It's in on the channel. I'm going to, of course, this is the poster that we do offer on the channel in the store. And this, I remember clearly being shown this hybrid child, being told it was mine. And again, Vaughn said, "Please draw it for me." And I did. There's a long story that goes with it. I think I can consolidate it, but where I was in a huge building of some kind with all these cubicles, or looked like cubicles, rows and rows of them, with aisles going down between them. And they had me stand there and stay there. And then this little gray went and from one of the cubicles, went inside and pulled out this child, walked it over to me, and said it was mine. Never forgot it. So I didn't have a lot of sightings of such things, but this was one, and I was able to remember it quite well, and what he looked like, what he was wearing, this blue kind of seamless outfit. This was another one I did for Yvonne when I saw the famous baby tanks, because they were seen so often, especially back in that day, with all these little fetuses in them. And you can see they have dark eyes, but so do we when we're at this stage in the womb. I did another version of it back in 2019 because we had a big art show um, that Whitley attended, and Yvonne and Jimmy Church was there at our studio in Ventura. So I did a bunch of new paintings for that because all the old ones were gone. So I don't know what this is. What is this? Oh yeah, that was this is a frame grab from one of our episodes about me and when I was out in the backyard with my friend, and this orb came down right out of the hills. I saw it. I pointed it out to him, and it came flying down when I pointed to it, and I said, "Come over here," in my mind, and it did. And then this gray being appeared on the face of it. It's a good episode. Another, this is also CGI, and this is another thing that I remembered when I was writing the script for the movie. The Daytime Ended, which has been remastered and it's been on, I think Amazon's even has it right now. It's got Jim Davis, Dorothy Malone. It was a film I wrote and produced, and we had a really big budget for it back then. It was done back in 1978, and it has to do a lot, the story, with this subject matter. If you watch the film, you'll see my influences in it. But when I was writing the screenplay, the person I was writing it with fell asleep on the couch while we were writing, and then I couldn't wake him up. And then I heard a voice say, "You need to go outside." So I went outside and I saw this. And this is North Hollywood, and it wasn't that late at night. And it was flying over, and it was completely silent. And what I remember after that was seeing some movement, and that's when I saw these guys. And I don't remember what happened after that. Yvonne and I did not go into that one. I don't have any more memories except coming to in my living room and having a memory of it and being very confused. And my friend finally woke up. He had no recall of it at all. So I'm going to go down here. This was another piece I did. We were reviewing Jesse Long's case and about being shown hybrid babies, and that's not supposed to be Jesse, but it was another woman that was having the same thing happen, and I did a painting. This was acrylic. I'm working on a drawing of symbols for Steve and to compare notes. Oh, well, thanks, Dennis. Yeah, well, I've got one on my leg. We'll talk about that in a minute if time allows. I had some sort of injury on my leg I can't explain, and it left a mark permanently, 2 marks. Mary pointed out to me the other day and said, "God, it's still there," because it's been months and months, and it's just not going away. It's like a tattoo. This is from Breakthrough, and Breakthrough was the second book, correct me if I'm wrong, of Whitley's, and they had, Ann Streever had handpicked a number of people from the letters, the communion letters, which had not been published yet, and they decided to invite them to spend the night in the cabin. And Raven Dana, who's become a longtime close friend of ours, had an experience where one of the visitors came in through the open window and stood on the end of her bed, and she put her hand up to it, and I believe they touched. And I did this drawing based on what I read in the book, and then little did I know that I would know her and be a close friend with her years later. It's really something. There's those praying mantises I talked about. What I saw looked like that. They were impressive. This was another piece I had done for Yvonne back in the 90s. And then I think that's pretty much it, not unless we go in and start loading up other stuff. There's so much of it, and I've been doing it. Hang on, let me get this. Nope, we didn't want that. I got to remember how to do this. There we go. They've changed things. There, I'm back. And I stopped doing it for a long time, especially after I got rid of everything, and Jilly wanted me to get out of the scene. It wouldn't be till much later on, 2017, 18, that I started doing the art again. And of course, I started the movie, But Something Is There, and that was quite an experience making that film. Having some Arnold Palmer. My voice is getting very dry. So yeah, that gives you a little taste of some of that stuff. You noticed that there was comic books too. You share screen here. There it is, share screen. I'm not set up for that right now, but I can do this. I'll add pictures. Somewhere in here I have, is it related? There we go. Well, I had done How I Met Whitley. I got a call from him one night. A friend of mine named Martin told Whitley about me, and they were working on a comic book with Caliber Comics called Beyond Communion Comics. There were 4 issues. You could still find them, especially if you go on eBay. No one's charging a lot of money for them. But I did 2 prototypes for it, and they ended up going with a different artist, but I ended up doing all the covers for the comic book. And this is that scene where he sees the visitor from his bedroom at the cabin, and he sees him around the door, and then they all rushed in. Then what I did before that was here's the book cover, the comic book covers I did. As soon as it loads up. These are the covers that I did. Well, one of them you can see over there was the prototype comic that I did, which is actually a full comic, and then the other 2 were from issue 1 and 2. The visitors themselves, the grays, were full-size gray aliens that I had built that could be rod puppeted, Bunraku style. The puppeteer would be all in black rods, and so they could be against black limbo or in a black setting, and you wouldn't see them, and they could move them, but they were full size. So I did both the tall one, and I did the short grays. The other one was a bust I did of the Communion alien, and I sent that to Whitley Strieber, and I'm not allowed to talk about what he ended up doing with it. Sorry, it's an inside joke. Anyway, he is quite a character. So those are the prototype cover and the two covers. So, and then to actually get a look at inside of the comic, these both the same. There we go. Come on. Eventually, it's going to tell me I can't put up anymore until I delete something. But right now, we're good. So this told a whole story. My late wife did the text on it. She did it all by hand, cut out paper. It's how you did things back in 1993, 94. And it was a personal tale by the person who put me in contact with Whitley. I don't know, Beto, because I remember reading the book. I haven't read it in a long time. But again, you're probably correct, because, you know, Hollywood always goes for the rush, for the sensation, for the exploitation to get tickets. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least. There's some really good stuff here somewhere. This I think I show you all the pages from this comic, but and I still have the original artwork for this. This did not go bye-bye. So, and this was all based on an actual account. But this particular story never got told. They were all based on Whitley's accounts, but we did this strictly to prototype. So there's a lot of pictures I have from sightings and the work I did in sightings. I don't remember how many of you remember the sightings TV program, and they used my masks a lot and my puppets. That's actually it's a frame grab from the show. These masks were very popular, and I was selling them through my Dreamline catalog, and I sold so many of them, and they're still out there. I get people from time to time sharing that with me, saying, I still have mine. So, in fact, you saw the cover from the comic book, and what I did back in those days is I shot, it was early Photoshop. So these are the full-size puppets, and I set them up that way, took a picture, and then by hand went in there in Photoshop and removed the background and put it in to the background to this right here, the center one you can see. And it worked out very well. And I think that's the cover that kept me employed. So, but I did a lot of other covers and a lot of other stuff. I mean, I'm looking right now through all the stuff I have, and I'm seeing, High Times and oh yes, yeah. There's a big confusion about. Do I have a better one of that? About the communion book cover, and I believe it's because of this piece of art. A lot of people have credited me for doing it. This is not a very good photograph of it. I have a better one. Whitley and I decided to make some t-shirts. So I replicated pretty well the original painting, but it was done in acrylics. It was much more refined, and the reason for that was, we're doing a silkscreen t-shirts, and there are still people who have these, and Whitley's got a couple that are like perfect condition still. And it would just, underneath it just said communion. I'm not sure, but I think there's a picture here that shows that. I'm putting Mary to sleep back there. She's yawning. So here we go. I thought this would be fun because I've never done this with you guys before. Just kind of talk about my artwork. Yeah, you can see a communion t-shirt on the table there in front of Whitley, who never seems to age much. At least not as much as I have. You can see there's that bust down there. And this is at a conference up in the Bay Area where I got to meet Paul Stonehill and all kinds of people. And in fact, if you look right where the alien bust is, there is the original acrylic painting, which is much larger than the book cover painting for his book, laying on its back. And it was framed. I wasn't selling it. I just had it there. And Leisha has this. It's out there somewhere. The painting is out there. The thing that was really cool about sightings, the program, besides the fact that they didn't overdo it and they stayed really true to what people were telling, this was about a little boy that had experiences, and they shot this in my backyard. And they smoked it up, and I was puppeteering the being, but you don't see the rods. You don't see what's making its head move or anything. So it really worked well. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. What was that comment that was up before? Because it went kind of. Oh, what did Benno have to say?
Well, I can find it.
Okay. Your version looks. Oh, well, thank you. Well, what I'm pleased with is that when I started doing stuff in CGI 3D and started making wireframes and stuff, that I was able to get capture the same look that I've always been known for. It just now it can move and it's alive and it's lit, and I don't have to sculpt. I don't have to sculpt huge amounts of clay on armatures and make heavy molds and cast things out of latex and put armatures inside of them to make them move and stuff. I can do the same thing all digitally with a lot less wear and tear on the old body here. This is another piece I did for Yvonne. I don't think that one I've showed much. This one I have very little memory about. For some reason, again, I have a really good memory. But geez, wouldn't you like to know where that handy cam footage is today? I remember this enough to draw it, but I couldn't tell you if it came from a dream, which it may have. It didn't come from under hypnosis, but it's just really interesting. I wish I still had this one. And this, obviously, this was a world that they were populating, or maybe it's our home world. I don't know. You can see all the other saucers. You can see Orion in the background, and this guy standing there with a handy cam. It doesn't feel cold, doesn't feel warm. It feels like being touched by a human being. I mean, I feel a little bit of friction, from their hands. There's been a lot of debate whether they have nails or not. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I have had many times scratch marks that come from what looks like a thumb and the Mickey Mouse hands, as we're familiar with. Sometimes there is electrical components sometimes. That's true, Dennis. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It was kind of a different pre-show. Oh no, they're absolutely. The handycams did exist. In fact, we had one. It was a Sony. It looked just like that. Because that was by 1994. So absolutely, we had handycams for sure. But that image just, I don't know, even when I look at it now, it gives me this odd feeling that it really happened. But I can't really say for sure. So anyway, Susan's show tonight, watch it to the end. Really, just watch it all the way to the end, and you're going to be amazed, and especially after watching Judy's. You have to understand that Judy and Susan didn't know each other. They came separately on their own to Ventura to go on camera, and you will see similarities that'll give you the chills. So often the ending is where the understanding comes in. Absolutely. Every one of these stories ever told builds to the end. And many of the people that go in front of a camera will bring a list of things they want to talk about. The minute they start talking, the list gets dropped and they go into autopilot, and the story builds and concludes very well every time. It's amazing to watch this happen because they lived this. It was real. And they thought they would need notes so they didn't forget something, but they didn't. They told it like it is, and I'm just amazed by it. It's wonderful. So enjoy the show. We'll be right there watching it with you and seeing you in comments. And you guys, thanks so much for the support, the love for being here, and being the great community that we've all become. So we'll see you soon.